Chris Martin with Creative Domain, and today's quick tip tutorial is using the hinge constraint in Realflow. So this is a animation that I did a while back, and you can see that I used the hinge constraint on the door. So you see the door pops open from the force of the liquid coming in. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to recreate this in this tutorial, but what I want to do is just take a real basic example. So I've got a scene here in Cinema 4D. I've got a cylinder that represents the pole and just a flat plane that represents the door. I'm going to take these and I'm going to go to Next Limit, SD Export. We'll select all. We'll give it an output file. We'll call it Hinge. Let's call this one hinge.sd, and we will save it, and we'll go into Realflow. We'll give it a path, create the new project. Now I want to come up here and import my scene, and there we have it. So what I want to do now is I want to come up to this little icon. It looks like a little road with arrows going on it, and I just want to select the hinge constraint. I am going to give that a -90 in the rotation. Let's kind of get up on this thing so we can see it. I want to, let's go to a top view. Let's bring it over here, zoom in. I want to just make that bigger so that it's grabbing the door. And let's take it into a perspective view. And we're going to drag it up a little bit in Z. So that's going to be fine. Now, what we need to do is we need to take the door and we need to turn that into a rigid body. And we'll go to the rigid body tab, and a plane should be fine for that. Dynamic motion is yes. The pole needs to be a rigid body, and we'll give it a mesh for the primitive. And then you want to select the hinge, and you need to choose the child. The child in this instance is going to be the door, and the parent is going to be the pole. We're going to give it a, let's say yes for the limited, and the limited, as you can see, enables, disables limits for the constraint. And we're going to give it 100, and the 100 in the max R, that means that's talking about how far you're going to allow this door to move on this axis. So from here to here. So I'm going to let it move 100 degrees is what I'm telling it right here. The other thing that I want to enable is the restitution. And the restitution is a number between 0 and 1, and that's how far back after it reaches the 100 degrees that it'll swing back in the opposite direction. So for this we'll say 0.5. Now I'm going to create a sphere in the scene, and we will take that and we will make it a rigid body. I'm going to scale it up 300, 300, 300, and we'll move it back. We also need to give it a mass. We're going to give that a mass of 200, And the door needs to have a mass as well, and we'll make that 100. Sorry, 100. And then we need to give some dynamic motion to the sphere. So we will come down here and we're going to give it some velocity in the negative. This is the positive z in this direction. We're going to give it some negative z velocity so that it'll bang into this door. So we'll come over here to velocity. We'll say negative 40. And then we will go ahead and simulate this. Oh, let's put some gravity in here as well. And let's see what we've got. We'll simulate. Let's get a good view on this. And there you see. It hits the door. The door swings about 100 degrees. And then it comes back. Let's watch it from this angle. And it hits our ball and knocks it out of the way as well. So that is basically how you set up the hinge constraint. That is how I also set this up, my room here that I showed you in the beginning, this flood room. And I'll show you that in Realflow as well, just so you can have an idea. This is the room that I set up in Realflow. I actually set it up in Cinema 4D, and you can see I've got my hinge constraint right here. And I'll just run through this. What's going to happen is the force of the particles here are going to hit the door, and we'll go over here and we'll take a look, and you can see I've got my max R set here to 100 and my restitution to 1, and it's going to knock open this door and knock these out of the way. So let's just get right here and we'll just run through it. You can see the particles coming in, hitting the door knocks the blocks out of the way. And the particles come on in. So that is the quick tip tutorial today on how to use the hinge constraint in Realflow. Hope that helps.